Morse Media presents a Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast that will help you live the life you've been given. Join in the conversation. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Welcome to a Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast. I'm your host, Miesha Shanell. Today, we are talking about human trafficking. That is an epidemic, a pandemic that has plagued our country, our city, our state for many years. And today we are shedding light. We have an advocate in studio with us. We have Miss Tera Hilliard from FCI, Forgotten Children Incorporated. And she is going to help us, enlighten us, and tell us how we can help and support the young women and adult women that are being human trafficked. And let everybody please help me welcome Miss Tera Hilliard to A Girlfriend's Guide to Life. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for joining me. It is definitely a pleasant surprise to have seen your face and to know that we have made each other's acquaintance before. So that is much better. So what I like to tell my guests, don't be nervous. It's just a conversation. But I want you to I brought you in because this subject is, I personally have had some friends of mine, daughters, who were victims of human trafficking. And we had never heard of it before. So tell the world, what is a true definition of human trafficking?
Yes, so thank you for having me. Most people don't know that here, and just to say in the city of Los Angeles, that human trafficking is alive and well. The problem is, the reason why we don't believe it is because we think that the girls we see on Fig or Western or some of the other streets are just prostitutes and they want to be out there. You know, I'm a native Californian, been here 49 years, and, you know, we grew up and we were told that those fast girls that were walking the streets, some prostitutes, and she 14, 15, she ought to know better, and she need her butt whooped, that kind of thing. We had no idea that even back then that they were being trafficked. And so the legal definition of human trafficking is there must be, and this is if they're adult victims, there must be proof of force, fraud, or coercion for the sake of commercial gain for sex. So what that means is that she has to prove that this person forced her, frauded her, or coerced her into selling her body for the sake of making money off of her. And so what pimps do, and we grew up, you know, pimping ain't easy, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So what pimps do is that they require each one of their girls to have a daily, nightly quota of $500 to $1,000 per day. She doesn't get to keep not one dime of the money, not one single dime.
So do they have a menu? Is there?
So imagine this. So
what does that look like?
So it looks like you need to meet that quota before he comes back by. So we've had girls to tell us that they were out all night working. So if you drive down Fig and you see the girls, I guarantee you, if you go down Fig at 6 p.m. and you see a girl, say in a red teddy, you go back out at 6 a.m. and she's still out there in that same red teddy because she has not made her quota and she cannot go back. Now, when minors are involved, there does not need to be proof of force, fraud, or coercion. We have finally changed the narrative and we have stopped calling children prostitutes. A child cannot consent to having sex. And so if a child cannot consent to having sex, then how can she become a prostitute? And I'm going to just add this little caveat. Yeah. You know, if an adult male, say 25 years old, has sex with a 12-year-old little girl and it gets reported, then he's arrested for rape, molestation, incest. Same 25-year-old male has sex with a 12-year-old girl and then money's exchanged. She's the prostitute.
Wow.
So the laws are changing slowly but surely.
Okay.
But they are changing and turning so that we can protect children. No 11-year-old girl wakes up and decides to walk down Figueroa.
No.
There has to be something going on. And then you have these men that are forcing them, frauding them, coercing them, and then putting them out there under the guise that you're doing us a favor. And that's what people don't understand. Many of the pimps, they are they are very good at manipulating and controlling the women that are on the streets. And so people always say, well, how come they just don't run? I wouldn't let nobody just do me like that. We have a clip, and I don't know if you've had a chance to see it.
Don't go there yet, because because I'm going to segue into that and we can talk about it. Okay?
All right. Okay.
So tell me, like, currently what you're working on. Like, what are you currently working on? You're the president and CEO of FCI, Forgotten Children Incorporated. Yeah. Tell us what you guys do. What are your direct services?
So our goal, our mission is to rescue, restore, educate, and empower victims of human trafficking and sexual exploitation. We added sexual exploitation because there are women that are actually on the streets by their own volition. And so she's selling her body either for, sex, or is it for survival sex? Is it for her addiction problem or whatever it may be? But when she decides that she's tired, she needs a safe place to go. And so our goal is to not only help her, but also to help those that have been victimized. So we work with law enforcement. We work with the Long Beach Prosecutor's Office. We work with San Bernardino District Attorney. We work with our local district attorney, and we work with several service providers. And so we have a safe house in San Bernardino where we can house up to 5 girls up to 24 months. We are working.
Hold on with that. So a safe house. What is exactly a safe house for those that don't know? It sounds like a safe house, which it is, but tell us exactly what that is, and how does one get into a safe house?
Right. So our safe house is in a non-disclosed location. Okay. So if you go to our website, you look it up, you're not going to find it.
Okay.
And it is we have a lot of security. The girls that are referred or who are in our house have been referred either by law enforcement or by an organization. So you just can't come to the house.
Can't call and say, I'm a victim and I need to live.
Now we do get calls from victims because we do have a hotline. However, we do an intake. We capture pertinent information because a lot of pimps will send girls into homes and houses to recruit other girls out.
Wow.
And so for safety reasons, we just don't allow people,
just
to come in. And depending on, once we do the assessment, we determine if she will be a good fit, then we have a pickup location. So we'll go pick her up and then we bring her to the house. Unfortunately, I would like to say that 100% of the girls who come to our house, they stay. But that's not true. We're dealing with women that have multiple layers of trauma, and they come into the home and at first they really are ready and want to get their lives in order. However, unfortunately, because of the trauma and because of other issues, they decide, not right. I can't do this right now.
Who is the victim? Who is the victim? Who becomes who becomes a trafficker? Who is the person? What does it look like, or she or he looks like? Because it could be boy or girl, right?
Exactly. So
what does
the difference is the trafficker and the pimps are one and the same, but the victims of human trafficking can be male or female. Okay. The average age that a person becomes victimized is between the ages of 12 and 14. The demand for that age group is crazy, and so what pimps is that their goal is to meet the demand side of what's needed, what's warranted, what's asked for. So the demand is, hey, I'm looking for a girl or a boy that's 12 or 14 years old. Can you get me that? So then he goes and he starts recruiting. They look for the little girls. So the girls and boys that are recruited into a life of trafficking often come out of the foster care system. Okay. They're runaways or throwaways, people that are no one's looking for them. They have, unfortunately, low self-esteem. They come from areas where there's high poverty, high crime. Mm-hmm. They don't have a good sense of well-being of what it looks like to know love, experience love, and that kind of thing. So they are your victims. And most of the girls, and I would say 100% of the girls we rescue have had an encounter with the foster care system, have a history of being sexually abused as children, and or grew up without mother and father or someone in their home to love them.
And so I also read that 56% of the girls on the streets are black girls. Is that true?
Yeah, that's here for California. And depending on the state, some states, if you look, I want to just throw out a blanket of stat, but states where there's high concentrations of African American people also have higher concentrations of girls that are being trafficked. And I'm going to tell you, Oakland has a high rate of girls that are being trafficked, Black girls that are on the streets. And they have, I know.
Why is that? Like, why would you think that? What has been the reason behind that?
Well, when you look at Oakland, traditionally, I mean, we all grew up with Tupac, right?
Yes.
And so, Oakland has traditionally has been a city noted for prostitution, drugs, gang banging, violence, and poverty.
Okay.
And all of those play a key role when it comes to, back to your question of how do the girls, or who are the victims, or who are those that are lured into that. Yeah.
So what are some signs to watch for when girls are being abused or groomed?
Well, and that's a really good question. One of the things that we try to educate parents, caretakers, just our community, is how to watch for kids. I grew up in a time where you didn't close your door.
No.
You didn't, your backpack got dumped out. You came through the door, and you were in. When street lights came on, or your mama knew who you talked to and all your friends. Nowadays, unfortunately, due to the internet, we don't know who our kids' friends are. I would like to think that parents are monitoring, but it's kind of hard to monitor what your kid is doing. One video opens your kid up to 10,000 people at any given time. And so one of the things that parents can look for is who she or he is talking to online, the type of friends that they have. If your kids become isolated or sullen,
or what?
Sullen, sad.
Okay.
If they are, you didn't buy that iPhone. You didn't buy those Jordans. You know that your 12-year-old does not have a Gucci purse. So all of a sudden, he or she's coming in with, new clothes, new technology, and things like that. And or they become real secretive. When you come in a room, they're hiding a phone, or they're deleting text messages. There are apps that kids can put on phones. One app is called the Calculator, and the Calculator hides the traditional apps on the phone. So, for example, if you're a parent that is hypervigilant, let's say that you are watching your kids' apps, you say, okay, these are my approved apps. Don't get any more. She says, okay, Mom, or he says, okay, Mom. The Calculator it's like a ghost app. So when you give back the phone, they turn on the Calculator, then all their real apps show up.
So this is them getting it to hide it from the parent?
Hide it from the parent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then kids also have, there's Instagram and there's Finstagram. Most parents don't know about Finstagram.
What is Finstagram?
Finstagram
How you
is
spell it?
Finsta, Finsta gram. Finstagram. It is a ghost app of Instagram, and that's where kids and other folks who just don't want people to know that about their ratchet life, that's where they go to hide all their stuff. And so you download Finstagram, and that's where you then have a subset group of friends. So a lot of grooming happens online. I'd be mindful of, watching for if all of a sudden your child is involved with older people.
Okay.
If she's a young girl and she's involved with older guys, and even if it's a boy involved with older guys and or older women. And I just want to make this one point. Women are recruiters also. So,
I know that. It's not just male
men,
stigmatized with just male men. Women have been doing it.
Yeah.
Madams.
Yeah.
Are they called madams now?
If a pimp is using a girl to recruit, she's called his bottom. Right. So you would think that bottom means she's at the lower.
No,
bottom means
she's
she's at the top. Yes. And so they're sent in to recruit other girls. And they're rewarded, for bringing in new girls and things like that.
Is this his girlfriend? That's his
Well, not really.
Okay.
But she thinks she's his girlfriend. And he'll even give her all the accolades of being a girlfriend, but in essence, she's not. She's a victim. So
tell us the term of grooming. What does grooming mean, and what age does it start?
So grooming is when a trafficker starts, I like to use the term massaging his relationship with his potential victim, winning her trust, asking the right information. We had a situation of a girl that had just run away from her group home, and she was in McDonald's in Long Beach, and two women watched her for about 4 hours. She didn't know they were watching her. And then, in the fourth hour, they came up and they said, hey, we were over there with our kids, and we saw you sitting alone. Why are you sitting alone? And she goes, I ran away from a group home, and I have nowhere to go. So they're just asking a question, where's your family? They were acting very concerned. And they knew she hadn't eaten because they watched her for 4 hours. And so one of the first things they did was like, well, are you hungry? Of course she's hungry. They saw she was sitting there. They realized, they saw she didn't have any bags. She'd been sitting there. She said she was a runaway. So they began to just win her trust. Well, when they were getting ready to leave, they said, well, we're getting ready to leave. We don't want to just leave you here. Can we drop you somewhere? And of course, they couldn't. She said, no. She had nowhere to go. She had nowhere to go. They said, well, you can stay with us. From that moment on, she was caught up in a human trafficking ring that was ran by a family. And they went from Long Beach to the Valley and then out to 29 Palms, where they trafficked her on a abandoned military base.
So she was kidnapped.
Yes and no.
So talk about, help us understand how she was able to go to all these cities without escaping.
Because at that time, they hadn't put her out there yet. They were still winning her trust. They were still grooming her.
Oh,
they were feeding her. They bought her new clothes and things like that. When they were here in the LA area for about 3 weeks. And she tells a story. She said, I saw girls, but I didn't know what was going on. When they went out to 29 Palms, then the guy that they called Daddy walked in the door and said, you owe me for every dime we spent on you. Wow. So she had to pay for the food, for the bed, for the this and for the that. And it was at that moment she had nowhere to go. And so back to your point, why didn't they run? Where's she going to run to?
Right.
Where's she going to go?
She's in 29 Palms. She don't have a phone.
She doesn't have any fans. So even if she did have a phone, who's she going to call?
Right.
So, and that's how they groom them. They get enough information and they present this scenario like, where are you going to go? I'm the only one who loves you. Her story, though, was interesting because after 6 months, she decided, I'm not doing this anymore. And she was very, they consider her to be very rebellious. And she ran, and she didn't even know she was on a military base. She didn't know. No. Wow. And so when she ran, she saw a guard booth, and she told the guard, and she was afraid because she didn't know if the guard was in on what was happening.
This is like a movie.
Yeah. And she told, do you know, because of her, they busted that. It made the papers and everything. If you look up the case, it made the papers and everything. And she became one of our residents, one of the sweetest girls you'll ever meet. But she's just one example of how grooming takes place. The trafficker's job is to win the trust of his victim, so that when it's time, he can control her with the information that he has. And so even if she decides to leave, if he knows she has children, he'll say, I'll kill your children. If he knows where her parents live, I'll go kill your mama, your daddy, and your granny that you told me about. So that's where your force, fraud, or coercion comes in. All the girls that come to our safe house, I would say more than half don't have legal documents. Because they confiscate their they confiscate their ID, their birth certificate, social security card. They change their name. That's why people liken human trafficking to modern day slavery. Many of the girls, their names are changed. The pimps tattoo his name or insignia either on their neck, on their forehead, on their thigh, on their inner thigh. And so, we remember back in slavery, that's what the slave masters did to us. They changed our name. Yeah. And then they branded us, and that's what pimps do. They do the exact same thing to these girls as was done to us back in slavery.
So does the victim look like a prostitute, or do they look like just normal, regular people? Would I be able to say, oh my gosh, she's a prostitute, or she's being human trafficked?
It just depends on what area you're in. It's both. If you're in an area like we did an outreach out in Orange County a couple of weeks ago, those girls look different than the girls on FIC.
Of course.
I was in a situation this past Monday. And I was leaving, I was pulling out, I was at a meeting in Orange County, and I was pulling out, and a girl said, can I please get in your car? She was a white girl. And I said, no, you can't. But as she was talking, I surveyed what was happening, and I saw her talking to a guy. So I said, no, you can't get in my car, but I can walk you into this building. Well, lo and behold, she was running from this pimp, but she looked like a normal girl. Right.
So you don't know, you guys. You hear that? Like, if you are a parent of a 12 to 20s, you have to be vigilant with your kids. You have to really be in their business. You have to really be annoying, because they're victimized, especially if there's not a dad in the house. as Tera told us, you know the signs, you see them. A lot of times you're just too busy or don't want to deal with it. We have a little visitor in here, you guys, in studio, if you hear. Petey, I think his name is. Yeah, so with that, Tera, I want you to talk about FCI. Before we go, I want you to talk about FCI, and I also want to know about the buyer. So who is this? Let's talk about the buyer first before we go into FCI. Yeah. Who is the buyer? Who is this guy or this woman? I don't ever try to be sexist. Who is this human that buys these young men and women?
Yeah. I always laugh when people ask that story because I think we think it's the boogeyman that's coming out of the closet.
Right.
But the buyer is the local politician, the local pastor, your husband, your cousin, your brother, your grandfather, your father, the nice man who works at the dairy. Because most men don't realize that when they are buying a prostitute, they think it's a victimless crime. And that if I pull up to pick her up, she's going willingly. So what am I doing wrong? Mm-hmm. A lot of men especially who have sex addictions or who are addicted to porn, what we're finding is that once they watch this pornography and they see this stuff, they want to act it out. They're not going to act it out with their wives or their girlfriends.
They can't because it's perverted.
It's perversion. And so they act it out with the girls on the street. The other thing that we're finding, especially in the porn industry, that right now there is an increase in the pornography where a white male is sadistically sodomizing, beating, or treating a black woman as a sex slave. That's a whole nother conversation. And so there's a lawsuit that we're not directly involved with, but with Pornhub for even allowing this type of porn to be even shown on their.
It's a thing.
It
is a book. I've been reading a book on it. It's a thing.
It's a major thing. And so what happens is that, so back to your point, who are the buyers? The buyers are just the everyday Joe that we see every single day.
And he's just going to buy a prostitute.
He's just going to buy a
prostitute. Does he ask for a 12-year-old? Does he ask for a young girl?
He's looking for a young girl. And so so what happens is that if he sees that girl walking and she fits what is in his mind, then he doesn't ask her how old she is, but he knows that she's young because you can see those girls on the streets and you know the ones that are the babies versus the ones that are the
grown
adults.
Women.
You can look in a child. We've seen girls walking down Fig and the shoes were too big that they had on.
Yes, because they don't have any shoes to fit them because they're
out there
young.
working, and the skirts she has on, and you can look in there, but they're petrified to tell you that they're being victimized. So a little bit about FCI. So here in the LA area, we have what we call street teams that go out twice a month.
Okay.
We used to go out every Friday night, but once COVID hit, then we had to scale back, and now we're picking back up. But with COVID and the Delta variant, we're just being a little bit more hypervigilant. So we go out twice a month. We give out what's called freedom bags. We have large bags and we have small bags. Okay. Our goal, and people think we do snatch and grabs. We can, but that's not our goal. Our goal is just for her to know that there are people who care. And in our bags, we have a small little card, very nondescript card with our 800 number on it. And we just say, when you're ready, call us. We are a Christian organization, so we offer prayer.
Faith-based.
Yep, we offer prayer. We ask, can we pray for you? Some will stop, and some will like, no, my name is Skittles. Pray for me and my babies, and go on.
And keep going.
And so they know our teams.
Thank you for the prayer.
Thank you for the prayer. Then we have a drop-in center in the city of Linwood. It's right. Long Beach Boulevard is equivalent to Figueroa for the city of Linwood. So we're considered to be right on the blade, so we're there. We opened up a satellite office in the city of Inglewood in preparation of the Super Bowl that is coming. That's going to bring a high number of girls to be trafficked and a whole lot of stuff. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
And then we have our safe house in San Bernardino. And then we have a team that go into the jails. We do education in the jails because they found that most women that are incarcerated have a history of prostitution or human trafficking. They just have not self-disclosed.
What do you need from the community? What is it that the community can do for Forgotten Children Incorporated?
Yeah, one of the things, number one is we are privately funded. And we love being privately funded because it gives us the autonomy and the flexibility to do what we can do. We're in the process of looking for a new safe house that will open in Orange County. We're launching a huge a fundraiser in August that'll run for 6 weeks to pay off our current mortgage on
Well, come back.
Yes,
come back.
I'm going to come back and talk about
and
that.
talk
It's
about
exciting.
it, and we can maybe figure out what we can do as a fundraiser to help you.
Yeah.
You guys have me. Do you guys have any need for volunteers? Do you have any
Absolutely.
do you have any opportunities for employment for anybody that's looking for a job? Talk about that. How can our audience get involved with FCI?
So they can go to our website, www.fci-la.org. Our website has everything. If you want to volunteer, we are very particular, and we do have our screening is extreme.
That's good.
Given the fact of the work that we do. And because we have implemented new screening protocols, it has really weeded out a lot of people that I believe were not coming on because they were sincere. We do not allow men to volunteer, not at all. And so there are volunteer opportunities from LA to San Bernardino. We are hiring. We are hiring for new staff for our safe house. And so we're looking for a resident manager and a resident advocate.
Awesome.
And I mean, if you just have a heart for this population, I will say this much. People think that they get involved and that they're going to be the savior of this girl's life.
Okay.
She doesn't need a savior. There is only one savior. Yeah. What she needs is for people who love her and who love wanting to see women reacclimated. Many of these women got involved in human trafficking when they were children. We only serve adults because what happens when a girl turns 18, literally services just begin to diminish. And she has and they treat her as if she's the perpetrator versus being the victim. When you turn 18, you don't turn this thing off. It doesn't just turn off. And she needs help even the more. So our entire organization, all of our staff, case managers, volunteers are trauma-informed trained. We are a trauma-informed organization. And so if people want to get involved with us, come because you want to help solve the issue. And because you care. And I tell people, I have 3 daughters, and it could be any one of our daughters, and I have 2 sons. It could be any one of our sons. Yeah. But I will leave you with this one thing. We have one of our previous residents called me recently. She's a white girl that hooked up with a black guy that she met in high school. Did not know he was a pimp. She was married with 2 children. Hooked up with him, left her family for 5 years. Her husband told her she could not come back. Her story is horrific. But she had went through shelter after shelter after shelter. She was addicted. She came to our house. Other shelters heard she was at our house and was like, oh, my gosh, she's at your house. Good luck. She's not going to change. She was there a year and a half. I just talked to her recently. She graduated from our program. She has been reunited with her family. They have moved to a whole nother state. Good, and she just called to say, I just love you guys, and I'm so thankful that you guys stuck with it. So whenever she hits that crisis or that fork in the road, she calls us. They have our personal cell phones. That's awesome. And so we stay in contact with them long after they have graduated from our program.
That is amazing. Before we go, let the audience know where they can find you or how they can donate, because I know there's a need of donations. Where can they go to donate? Because we have very generous viewers. Tell them before we go where they can donate, or even outside of the website. Is it on the website?
Yeah, it's on the website. If you would like to donate, if you have an Amazon account, choose us as for the Amazon Smile. And that way we can get money back on that. Again, our website is www.fci-la.org, or you can call me directly at 310-871-6594. If you just want to talk or get involved or you have more questions, they can reach out to me.
Okay. So if there's a victim, talk to the victim right now, and then we're going to end. If there's a victim watching, or a young girl who is laying in the bed sad because she's in a foster home, or she's with her grandma who's 90 and she's 14, talk to her.
I want to just let you know that the situation that you're in is not your fault. You can give us a call. There is hope and resources for you. Do not believe the lie that is being told to you that nobody cares about you. I'm doing this show because we do care. We have teams that are on the streets day and night because we care. If you're laying there right now and you're in between making a decision and not knowing what to do, give me a call personally, 310-871-6594. I will come and pick you up from wherever you are. We can send our team to pick you up. If you are hungry, we will feed you. If you are naked, we will clothe you. No questions asked. If you just need an ear because you just need somebody to talk to, give us a call. If you want to stay but you want to go, give me a call. If you just need somebody and you just want to sit on the phone and not talk, give me a call. My name is Tera, 310-871-6594.
Thank you, my love. Thank you for your diligence, your patience, your love, your wherewithal to want to help. You are needed. Me as a former foster youth, I could have been one of them girls, so I sympathize and I get it. And I'm going to look at my schedule and see if I can volunteer a few times a year to try to bridge the gap. Is a thing, and I appreciate your information. I appreciate your knowledge. We're going to come back. This is part 1. We will have you back for part 2 to help you, to support you. That's what we're about. We're a community show, and we're here to support extraordinary people doing phenomenal things in the community, and you are one of those. So we'll see you back. We'll see you back. When's your fundraiser?
Our fundraiser kicks off August 16th, and it ends September 25th.
Okay, so in between those days, we will talk. And so we'll have her back, you guys, and we'll support her with her fundraiser. Until then, guys, thank you for joining me. But before we go, I have to let you guys know that I need your help. Can you please subscribe to our channel? Ask your mama, ask your grandpa, ask somebody to help us. No, we just started our very own YouTube channel, Girlfriend's Guide to Life, the show. And we need your help to subscribe. So hit the like button and subscribe. And if you would like to reach out to me, give me a call, or actually you can email me or DM me on Instagram at Girlfriend's Guide to Life. It's spelled L-Y-F-E. And on Facebook, it's spelled the way it sounds, Girlfriend's Guide to Life. I love you all. Peace and blessings. Until next time. And remember, always be happy. To my emancipated youth, keep your head up. I'm here. If you need me, you know how to reach me. Love you guys. Peace and blessings. Thank you for joining us. Follow us on Facebook at Girlfriend's Guide to Life Podcast, the way it's spelled, and on Instagram, Girlfriend's Guide to Life, L-Y-F-E. Thanks for listening. Until next time.